Hello everyone and welcome back to the Houston Texans franchise. It's the off-season episode. We finished season 1 at 8-9 and somehow managed to win the AFC South and ended up in a playoff game. We hosted a playoff game playing against the Kansas City Chiefs, who absolutely blew us out in the second half, ultimately winning the matchup against us. But hey, we were kind of a fraudulent playoff team anyway, just in a very weak division this season. The Titans, who started the season super strong, ended up losing like 9 straight, or they went 1-9 in their last 10 or something like that. So definitely shouldn't have been there. Let's just say that our roster is not particularly great. But either way, here we are in the off season after having gone through all of that. Here's a look at mock draft number 3 now, and it's got us taking 2 tight ends essentially back to back, with Bernard Camp, an outside linebacker I really like a lot, in the middle of that. Here's quarterback Jake Price. He's basically the top quarterback prospect in this draft. Really good accuracies. He's more of a true pocket passer. Lewis Winter is more of an athlete with not quite the arm strength. ABB with accuracies. Really good under pressure. Really good on the run. Really good play action. Really good player. By far, of those sort of top 3 guys, Cameron McCullough being included in that, Lewis Winter is by far my favorite. Cameron McCullough is also an incredible athlete like Lewis Winter, but with a slightly better arm, but isn't quite as good everywhere else. Not quite as good on the run, not quite as good play action, and worse accuracies. So, a little bit more of a project possibly, but definitely a good starting point. Here's one guy I really like late in the draft, which is Tyler Gibson. He does have the stand tall in the pocket and is always aware of pressure trait, meaning that I believe he'll have ideal sense of pressure trait. He's got great to elite throwing power with good to great speed. So a really good athlete with great to elite throw power. The accuracies are a little concerning. Definitely a project is Tyler Gibson, but maybe something we're willing to take on if we don't draft one of those first 3 guys. At wide receiver, I found this guy, Clyde Rosenberg, with great to elite speed. Pretty short, I believe he's only 5'10", maybe 5'11", but he seems like a really, really good player for around 3 to 4 talent with the decent catch in traffic, B spec catch, B deep running. Definitely a guy you can throw deep shots to. Here's my favorite tight end in the draft, around 2 to 3 guy, Stephon Streets. Great to elite strength, good to great speed, really good athlete all the way around. Acceleration isn't all that great, but he's a really good, really good target. A catching traffic, A catching. He even seems like he's a pretty good blocker at the same time. And he's also huge. I believe he's 6'5", 270. He's absolutely massive. So really excited about Stephon Streets possibly joining the team. Definitely going to be looking to draft him as tight end, is a pretty big need at the moment. Jalen Thomas is a left tackle I was interested in. Looks pretty good. The D stamina is a little bit concerning, but probably not too bad. Josh Fox is another left tackle that looks pretty good. Obviously, I'm not looking at left tackle to have them play left tackle. I would move them to the right side, as Laramie Tunsil is obviously the man of the future at left tackle, one of the best left tackles in the NFL. But obviously you can move these offensive linemen around kind of wherever you want. Here's a later round guy, Emmett Telfer. Run blocking is not quite there. At center, which is a big need for us, maybe not a huge need, but a decent need. Ethan O'Neill was a guy I liked. Tucker Clinton looks pretty good, especially as a round 2 to 3 guy. Pretty good run block power, pretty bad run block power, but good seemingly everywhere else except maybe lead block looks like it might be a little weak. And then a day 3 guy I was a little bit interested in is Carson Hawkins. He has a number of things he's pretty good at, but a lot of stuff he's really bad at the same time. So definitely another one of those project guys. Right guard Juan Mixon looks like he's really, really good. Again, the C to F stamina is a little bit concerning, but he does have the A injury. And then Ken Carter is a guy with great to elite strength, around 3 to 4 guy. And look at these stats. I mean, the run block power is not quite there, and the pass block power maybe is a little weak, but he looks really, really good. Maybe a guy we look to take a little later on. Dion Bullard is a defensive tackle I really like. The defensive tackle is sometimes a hard thing to find. Brian Good seems like a really good defensive tackle. He's got B finesse moves, A power moves, and at worst he's got C block shedding, so seems like a really good player. At outside linebacker, we've got Sean Easley. As we're going to be a 4-3 again next season, if we draft a pass rushing outside linebacker, they're almost definitely going to be moved to end. So think of these guys more as ends if they've got sort of those pass rushing abilities, like Glenn Stevenson here with the B finesse moves and the C block shedding would definitely be moved to end if we ended up drafting him. So not much of a linebacker really. But as for linebackers, middle linebacker is a pretty big need for us. Antonio Rhodes was a guy I was pretty interested in. Seems like a good athlete with pretty good coverage. The play rec is not quite what I'd hoped it would be. Justin Bayless, though, has that A awareness with the B play recognition. Probably a little bit better. Gabriel Generals has a ton of draft stories for whatever reason, and I think he seems absolutely horrendous. It looks like he might have okay man coverage, but he seems bad everywhere else. Bernard Camp is probably my favorite pass rusher in this draft, especially somebody who could fall to around where we are. I mean, look at this. A play rec, A power moves, A pursuit, B block shedding. It seems just like an absolute beast. He's actually decent in man coverage, but terrible in zone coverage with good awareness. Max Hebert is probably my next favorite. Very similar, slightly better in zone, but it looks like the awareness may not be quite as good, but he does have the good hit power. Alani Hutton is a late round guy that seems okay. I mean, I'll take anybody with B block shedding as a day 3 person. Like, that's just a no-brainer. And then there's Gabe LeClaire, who is a potential UDFA guy I actually like quite a bit. He's got good zone coverage, good man coverage, decent pursuit. It even looks like his block shedding is decent. I don't know. Seems like a guy who could be a little bit of a playmaker. And as you can see here, if you were thinking Cam Newton might be starting for the team next season, you are sadly mistaken. He has retired. Jerry Hughes has retired as well. And I'll scroll through this list so that you can see, you know, maybe some big names that retired, like Julio Jones, who somehow made his way to the Ravens at some point during the season. Calais Campbell, Justin Houston, some, you know, pretty big names, possible Hall of Famers on this list. Aaron Rodgers has retired after the 2022 season in our world. Joe Flacco finally retired. Robbie Gould retired. Trent Williams retired. That's a big one. A lot of big names in here. Jason Peters retires. Chad Henne. Yeah, just, you know, a lot of guys who have been around forever are hanging it up, calling it quits. We've got, you know, even punters like Brett Kern who have been around forever retiring. And Ndamukong Suh retired. He was actually just a free agent this whole season. Josh Johnson is retired. Garrett Gilbert has retired. Yeah, just a lot of people. Adrian Peterson apparently was not retired. Here he is officially retired. And head coach Pete Carroll has retired from Seattle. Prince Amukamara is one retired in this season. Yeah, just a lot of, you know, guys that maybe if you're nostalgic of, you know, like a decade ago of NFL that were pretty big names. So interesting to see. Now we get to look at the re-signings. There's right guard Zach Thomas. He's interested in re-signing, but he's not particularly good, especially when it comes to pass blocking. Being that this draft class is a little bit stronger at right guard specifically, I don't feel a huge need to re-sign him. He turned us down anyway. We'll offer Rasheed Walker a contract, and he's happy to re-sign, which is great. Desmond King. I originally at the start of the season wasn't planning to re-sign him, but I felt like he played really, really well and sort of earned another contract. And so I'm going to offer him something. We'll see if it sticks, if he likes it. I mean, he's 28. He has star development. Probably will, you know, get a little bit better, but may start to decline. He also has a lot of the abilities you look for in a safety, so we could possibly consider moving him to safety at some point as well. Rasheem Green will make an offer to really good depth, even if he doesn't start as an end. He resigns. Ogbonnia Okoronkwo is in a similar boat, a pretty good depth pass rusher, but he wants to test free agency, so I won't really pursue that any further. Jordan Akins, I'm not interested in re-signing. He was good for us, but just a little too old, not going to really amount to much at this point. Blake Cashman, we brought back. OJ Howard, however, is a tight end I would love to bring back. I thought he played really well in replacement. of Jordan Akins, but we can't get the job done with him either. Neville Hewitt played very, very well, even though his overall is very low, but he would like to play for a new team next season. So now we're moving on to available free agents, and look who it is. It is Tom Brady. He may have retired in real life, but he's sticking around here in our Houston Texans franchise. We'll see where he ends up. I'm definitely not sending him an offer. We've also got people like Jordan Poyer, Odell Beckham Jr., a bunch of really good players, obviously, that are testing free agency here. Things that I'm kind of looking for are, maybe some depth at the offensive line, possibly some new wide receivers to help us out. I was really interested in Jabril Peppers. You'll see me come back to him a lot, as free safety is kind of a need for us. We do have obviously our strong safety of the future with Jalen Petrie. Obviously not looking to sign Tom Brady, but I did take a look at other quarterbacks. Not really super interested in anybody except for Jordan Love. And here I actually accidentally advanced. This is my first time in this new offseason sort of format. So I only have 2 more times to evaluate. So a few people got signed when I did that on accident. So whoopsie. We're going to send an offer to Jordan Love. He is a quarterback that is really young, and he could end up developing into something possibly. And then at center, we are looking for some center depth, so we're going to send an offer to Jake Brendel. And then DJ Chark, I was pretty interested in. He's got 94 speed, and he's very tall. I believe he's 6'4". We sent him an offer. Wouldn't be bad to have another big, deep threat. And then Solomon Kindley is a right guard that I was pretty interested in, just because he has star development. He's still fairly young. He probably won't start on our team, but he's really, really good depth. And then I sent an offer to Jabril Peppers. I kept coming back to him, so I figured, why not at least send him something, because he would be a great addition to the team. Obviously a very good player, and we do need some free safety help. So sent an offer his way, and we were only the 3rd team that he was interested in. So I actually went back in, upped his offer a little bit. We'll be looking at 5 years, 6.4 with a $4 million signing bonus. And I believe, we are still not at the top of his list, but everyone is kind of maxed out on him. And so now we will advance again, and we sign 4 out of the 5, Jabril Peppers being the only one we missed out on. And he signed with the 49ers. So Jabril Peppers going to the 49ers, and unfortunately couldn't land that one. McCole Hardman, you saw, was on the Titans now, which is somebody we're going to have to play against quite a bit. Devin McCourty has not been signed yet, but he's just a little too old for my liking. And really a lot of these other guys that I'd be interested in are, just already signed. That's what happens when you accidentally advance when you didn't mean to. Elijah Wilkinson is another depth guy at the offensive line that I might look to sign. We'll send him an offer. Kingsley Keke is another sort of depth guy. I like to have a really deep offensive and defensive line, so we sent him an offer. Akella Witherspoon is a corner that I really like out of Colorado. He's 28, so he's still fairly young, and he's big and he's fast. And if you know me, we like big, we like fast, so we'll send him an offer. We're going to look to replace Kaimi Fairbairn. Even though he had a good season, he does cost a lot of money, where we could get somebody like Chase McLaughlin here for quite a bit cheaper, and he has, similar sort of kick power. So, not really missing out on a lot. That's one of those sort of Madden things, right? I think in real life you keep Kaimi Fairbairn there, but in the Madden world, you can afford to make those types of changes. And you can see that we have signed basically everyone that we went after. McLaughlin hasn't re-signed with us just yet. Also, let me know in the comments if it's McLaughlin or McLaughlin. I think it's McLaughlin, but, we'll see. I could just Google that myself, but, try to get you guys to post some comments. We'll send another offer to Akella Witherspoon, who has not accepted our offer just yet. I would like to bring him in as a little bit of, maybe some more speed and height to the corner department of the team. We'll send an offer to DeMarcus Walker as well. And we got Akella Witherspoon to sign. We got DJ Chark, Chase McLaughlin. We got everyone basically that we were going after, except for Jabril Peppers. If you're curious, by the way, Tom Brady ended up signing with the Patriots. So Tom Brady, after leaving the Patriots, going to Tampa Bay, winning a Super Bowl in Tampa Bay, is now going back to New England to finish out his career, I would assume. So yeah, Tom Brady back to the Patriots. And now we've got these combine scores out, and Clyde Rosenberg is incredibly fast. A 4.25 40, somehow only 4th in the wide receiver class. So there's some even faster guys out there, but I like Clyde Rosenberg a lot. Stephon Streets appears to be pretty quick for a tight end, and we've got him 100% scouted, so we know everything about him. These are all the, the kind of guys that I said I was super interested in. Bernard Camp is another one. He's not insanely fast, but he's fast enough, and he is a really good pass rusher. Alani Hutton is very fast. Alani Hutton is also huge. He is 6'5". This is one of those guys that if he's available late, I'm taking him. Honestly, I think he could be a lot better than, that day 3 suggests. So we will be kicking off the draft here, though, as the Seattle Seahawks have the #1 overall pick. They did just lose Geno Smith, as he has signed with somebody else here in the offseason. So they may look to take a quarterback here. And they do not. They take an edge rusher, Lance Childers. And then Juan Milstead, which is a corner I was not crazy about, goes to the Falcons with pick number 2. Pick number 3 is the Bears. We'll see who they take in just a moment as we'll advance to the next pick. It's Nick Green, the highest rated tackle in this draft class. And then the Vikings at number 4 take Ross Callaway. He was an end I really liked, but I knew I wouldn't be able to get him because we're far too low in the draft. And then the Colts, a guy we're going to have to see a lot, is Henry Corcoran, a left tackle out of NC State. He looked really good. Again, one of those guys I didn't think I was going to be able to get. And then the Lions ended up with Jake Price, the sort of consensus #1 quarterback in the draft class. Maybe some other people thought Lewis Winter was the guy, but obviously the Lions think it's Jake Price. Tyler Hooker, another really good right tackle, went to the Bills. And then the Titans. This is going to be another guy that we're going to have to see a lot, and they take Lewis Winter, the quarterback that I really, really liked. The Titans end up with him. We're going to have to see a lot of him. Russell Bolden goes, and then the Dolphins end up with Clifton Bentley, another right tackle. The tackles are just flying off the board. I don't know if we're going to end up with one. Sean Easley goes to the Chargers. I wasn't particularly interested in Sean Easley. I think Bernard Camp is just the better player. We'll fast forward again. Ben Durham, a wide receiver out of Florida. PJ Bowman, who was one of the top tight ends, goes to the Giants. Tito Soto, another tackle, goes to the Panthers. Now the Ravens on the clock. They take another tackle, Marquise Stanley. Tackle's not like an absolute need for us, but it would be good to get, sort of the right tackle of the future. Middle linebacker Antonio Rhodes, which is a guy I was very interested in, goes just before us. So now, with our first pick of the NFL draft, we could take John Saunders, a tight end who's really, really good. He looks to have a lot of potential, A, catching, A, route running, B, blocking. I mean, he's a really good blocker, good awareness. We could take center Ethan O'Neal. This is a guy I really liked as well. Center isn't like a must for us, but, it is still a need. We could take Damian Cooper. The tackle depth in this class was absolutely massive. I considered Max Hebert, one of the 2 outside linebackers I liked. He seems really good. And then I considered Bernard Camp, who honestly I just think is better than Max Hebert. And for that reason, Bernard Camp is a Houston Texan, hidden development. Seems like he's going to be a really, really good player. 84 speed, 84 acceleration, 79 strength. He's going to be an absolute stud one day, I can just tell. And then Hebert actually goes right after him to the Jets. So with our next pick, because we almost had them back to back, I considered Cameron McCullough. He is still on the board. He's definitely the next best quarterback. And, I really thought about it for a long time. And while I think he could be really good, I ended up passing on him. I think that we signed Jordan Love and he could very easily be the starter next season if we don't find a guy later. So I looked to trade this pick away. And ultimately, I landed on the San Francisco 49ers, who are giving up a first and a second this year. Sorry, the first is actually next year. The second is this year, however, and then a fourth for next year as well. So we have given away our pick to the 49ers. They take Ramon McDonald, a corner, with that pick. And then Cameron McCullough goes to the Packers. And you'll remember that Aaron Rodgers did retire, and they have lost Jordan Love. So Cameron McCullough ends up a Green Bay Packer. He'll be the starter of the future there. There's Bryce Clinton. I believe I mentioned him at one point. He's a pretty good player. Definitely a guy I was interested in. Brandon Bush, another linebacker. The linebackers are just flying off the board now. Darius Terry, another tackle in Troy McMullen. Devontae Stewart, a wide receiver. William Gary, a right end. Delroy Hankins, a safety. I didn't look at strong safety very much. There goes Ethan O'Neill, finally, a guy I considered for a really long time. Eddie Cousins, Kirk Cousins' cousin, as I like to refer to him, was actually a linebacker I liked quite a bit. He goes to the Cardinals. Deion Bullard, another defensive tackle off the board from TCU. Cole Mason, a defensive tackle from Alabama. And the defensive tackles are just flying off the board. So, for that reason, I heavily considered Brian Good, because he's a defensive tackle I really liked, and if they're starting to go off the board, it might be the time to draft him. Brian Good was my favorite D-tackle in this draft class, and ultimately I decided to take him. He's a very strong 86 strength. He's not super fast, but he does have great even acceleration at 83. Seems like he's going to be a beast as well, alongside Bernard Camp. And so we'll fast forward even a little bit more. Justin Bayless, the middle linebacker, probably my favorite middle linebacker in this class, goes to our rival Colts. And then the Titans now on the board. They end up with Jalen Thomas, one of my favorite tackles in the draft class. And then, it's our turn once again. And at this point, I'm thinking, maybe take Stephon Streets. Tight end I really like, by far my favorite tight end in the draft class. And so I pulled the trigger, but he only has normal development. He's a little older. He's 23 with only normal dev. I mean, obviously we can get that dev up. He looks to be an incredible athlete. He just does not have star development or higher, which, is okay. It's not the end of the world. With our next pick, we looked at Matt Glenn, which is probably the next best quarterback behind Cameron McCullough. And then at this point, I'm like, you know what? I know that Davis Mills is not starting next season. I traded him away. So we signed Jordan Love, and then I trade Davis Mills away to the Vikings, and then draft Matt Glenn. So we have officially created a quarterback controversy here in Houston. We've got Matt Glenn, big arm, 96 throw power, and Jordan Love so far. They're going to battle it out in the preseason to see who gets the starting spot, perhaps. Tucker Clinton is a center that I liked. He gets drafted just ahead of me. At this point, I was considering right guard Ken Carter. He was my favorite guard in the class, and I pulled the trigger, and he looks like a beast. 92 strength, hidden development. Obviously, those athletic things that they're showing there aren't going to be a super big factor, but 92 strength is very, very good to start out. At this point, getting through the draft a little faster, not looking at every single pick that comes off the board, I decided to take Julius Chaney, another left tackle that I was okay about. We're getting to the point where I'm starting to have to maybe settle a little bit for people. And Julius Chaney was not my favorite tackle, but he was one that I liked. So I pulled the trigger on that. Looking to trade away another pick, possibly. I did see that Tampa Bay was offering 3 picks, which is always great value. The Titans are offering 3 picks as well. Which is interesting. You'd think they wouldn't want to give a division rival any extra stuff, but I see this and I'm like, well, I'm gonna take that. So kind of feel like I scammed the Titans a little bit, which is just a dub for me, to be honest with you. So fast forwarding to our next pick, Clyde Rosenberg's the guy. And look at how incredible of an athlete he is. 97 speed, 86 jumping, 88 change of direction, 90 agility, 98 acceleration. The guy is just a speed demon. And now fast forwarding to round 4, pick number 2. We're on the clock again. And I'm contemplating taking Tyler Gibson. He's a guy that I think could be the next Josh Allen. And so I took him. 94 throw power, 84 acceleration, 87 speed, a true dual threat quarterback. His accuracies are not there, but we can get them there possibly. So now we've got a three-way battle at the quarterback position. I talked about Alani Hutton a lot. I think that he has a lot of potential to end up very good. So I took him, and he's got good acceleration and good speed, and he is 6'5", by the way. So he is a big boy. And now looking to take possibly Carson Hawkins here. I let a lot of, this is not a deep center class, but I did let a lot of them slide. So we take Carson Hawkins here. He does have 90 strength, so not too upset about that. Another left tackle, Emmett Telfer. Of course, if these guys end up playing, it's probably going to be mostly at right tackle or as a backup to Laramie Tunsil. Randall Covington is a guy that I liked here pretty late, pretty good edge rusher late in the draft. Frank Allen, another edge rusher that I decided to take here late in the draft. I know we're kind of speeding through these now, but yeah. And then Gabe LeClaire was a potential UDFA, but I was running out of people to draft, so I decided to send a draft pick his way. I think he has potential to be a pretty good role player on the team. Colby Walton, a true right tackle, is the next draft pick off the board for us. And that is the last draft pick off the board for us. So we'll take a look at our picks. Bernard Camp is a 74 overall. Brian Good, a 73. Stephon Street's a 73. Matt Glenn actually is a 70 overall quarterback. And then we've got Ken Carter down there at a 78. A really good draft pick for that late in the draft. He has hidden development as well. So 78 overall. And it turns out, actually, that he was the highest overall player in the whole draft at 78 overall. So an absolute steal. We got him in the 3rd round, by the way. Hidden development, 78 overall. I mean, obviously the immediate starter. I'm really excited about Clyde Rosenberg. His stats don't jump off the page, but he's a 72 overall in the late 3rd round. Alani Hutton is only a 65, so, you know, not the best. Carson Hawkins is a 66. Emmett Telfer looks really not good. Randall Covington actually looks pretty decent, though, and so does Frank Allen. Gabe LeClaire is actually a 65 overall as well for a potential UDFA. And then Colby Walton was absolutely terrible. So, yeah, you know, you get what you get that late in the draft. Ken Carter was the highest overall player in the draft, like I said. Juan Milstead, that corner that I was not crazy about, just behind him. Lance Childers, who was the #1 pick in the draft, just behind them. Ross Callaway, one of the ends I liked. Emmett Gentry is way up here. He was a tight end that seemed like he was really good. Ross Callaway only has normal development, though, which is a bit unfortunate. Jake Price does have hidden development for the Lions. He's only 21. He's going to develop so well. And, you know, his accuracies are already great. If medium accuracy is your worst accuracy and it's a 74, I think you're looking pretty good. Tyler Hooker is a right tackle I liked quite a bit. Pretty bad pass block power, but good everywhere else. Lewis Winter has hidden development, and he looks just so good. 90 throw power, and I mean 86 short, and these are down. Like, his morale is low, so those aren't his true accuracy ratings. Little sad I didn't try to trade up for Lewis Winter, and even more sad that he's a Titan. Cameron McCullough, I also passed on. Like I sort of said, he kind of just looks like a worse version of Lewis Winter, but also had hidden development. And then these are the quarterbacks I ended up with. Tyler Gibson, Matt Glenn, and Jordan Love. And obviously we know Damian Pierce. You know, Benjamin's here, Ty Johnson, Jed Anderson. DJ Chark, new wide receiver 1, Nico Collins, John Mechie, Equanimous St. Brown. It's going to be a fun little wide receiver battle, actually. A few of these younger guys coming off the practice squad from last season. And then you bet your bottom dollar I'm going to go find some undrafted free agents as well. Got Stephon Streets, Brevin Jordan, and Lawrence Cager at tight end so far. Got a lot of left tackles. Some of these guys will be moved to right tackle. I'm really kind of unhappy with how I drafted the tackles. Colby Walton is horrendous as well. I'm thrilled with how I drafted our guard, Ken Carter. He seems really good. Kingsley Keke and Randall Covington are our left ends. At right end, we've got Jonathan Grenard, Rasheem Green, DeMarcus Walker, Frank Allen, and Nick Lalos at the very bottom there. And then Brian Good is our new D tackle. Don't worry, he will be starting over Malik Collins. Don't you worry about that. At Middle linebacker, we've got Christian Kirksey and Jake Hansen. Outside linebacker, we've got way too many right outside linebackers. Bernard Camp is going to be moved to end, though, so do not worry too much about the sort of way too much depth here. And then at corner, we've got Akella Witherspoon. We didn't draft any corners. Didn't feel like we needed to. Witherspoon is a great addition, though, I think. And yeah, this is the lineup for now. The plan is to start Matt Glenn in the preseason, but it's going to be a true battle. I would not mind starting any of these three. They are all sort of better than the other at different things. I think we get different things out of each of them. I think Jordan Love is sort of the middleman between Matt Glenn and Tyler Gibson. And then on the defense, Bernard Camp and Brian Good are sort of the new faces of the front seven. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the off-season video. Preseason will be coming up in just a couple days, actually, so be on the lookout. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.